بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I seek refuge in Allah from the rejected enemy Shaitan. With Allah's name, the most merciful benefactor, the most merciful redeemer. All praise is due to Allah. We praise Him. We seek help from Him. We repent to Him. We seek forgiveness from Him. We repent to Him and we seek refuge in Him from our own weaknesses, our own bad deeds. I bear witness there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah. Allah alone is the only deity. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to whom the Quran was revealed 1400 years ago, is His servant. And we thank Allah so much for giving us Islam, giving us the Quran, giving us the opportunity to be in the lifetime we're in, giving us the opportunity to be alive. Because this is a blessing. None of us had the power to bring ourselves into this existence. So we walk around and talk and do different things, but we didn't have the power to bring ourselves into this existence. So therefore we are thankful to Almighty Allah for giving us this, giving us the power to come into an existence and then live out our lives and live out the kind of life that we have been, I won't say programmed, but we have been potentially put in a main line to live. There's a certain life each of us can live, a certain life each of us is supposed to live. We're ordained to live. It belongs to us. Each and every one of us have our own independent track that we can live. And Allah is our guide. And Allah created it for us. Allah did it for us, for our own purpose. And we thank Him for that. We thank Him for giving us the ability to breathe the air, giving us the thought to make our world better, giving us our hands and our arms and everything that we have that He has given us as a gift out of His mercy. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything at all to warrant it. We didn't do anything at all to say this is paid for what we have done. We did nothing at all. While we were still vegetables in the fields of the world, growing as vegetables, before our parents consumed those vegetables and turned it into sperm and egg, so that it can bring us to a closer reality in which Allah had created us. Allah did that. Allah did it. And that is something we should all recognize, and we all should humble ourselves every day for this great opportunity that Allah has given us. We paid nothing for it. We had no adding to any significant amount of contribution to it. It's not a we gave part and Allah gave part and here we are. No. We had no contribution at all in it. It was all done by Allah, Allah's mercy. To get us here, to get every human being here, to get every creature that exists. To bring this universe into existence. This universe didn't come on its own. This universe didn't have the power to say, I'm going to be born. No matter what you hear about the so-called thinkers who say the universe is the governing factor. No, the universe could not bring itself into existence. Nor can it keep itself here. No more than you and I can. The universe was created by Almighty Allah. And that creation is through His mercy. That's why we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That's what we were talking about. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That's what we're talking about. There's two mercies involved here. Rahman and Rahim both are about mercy. One is about the mercy that Allah gives the creation. The creation is here at Allah's, by His mercy. And then the other is a form of mercy that's redemption kind of mercy. That even if we go wrong and we don't have the power to sustain ourselves to get back, Allah will forgive us. Allah that forgiving redemption. Both of those are forms of mercy. So it is that Allah we're talking about today. That Allah, the creator of the heavens, the earth, and everything in between. And we thank that Allah much for our existence, and especially for the one that He gave this Quran to for humanity. The one that He put on the heart for humanity. The words directly from Him. The words that will save humanity. The word that revolutionize humanity. The words will cause humanity to be born over and over again. And we thank Allah much for bringing and giving this to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam 1400 years ago. And there's another thing we should be very thankful about. We should be thankful that Allah chose Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he was the one who didn't have any problem with being honest, being true to his nature, true to that thing which added up to be right and added up to be wrong. He was true to the obvious things. And it's important that we understand that humanity have him as the example, had him as the one Allah revealed this Quran to. Because anybody else might have put a little bit of themselves in it. You know, sometimes you look at different people and you say, wow, he's a great orator. Even I remember listening to the great Dr. Martin Luther King in his talks. But even when you listen to them talk, many times they put a little bit of themselves in it. Put a little bit of themselves in it because he was coming from a base that he didn't have pure revelation, but he had some understanding. And he had a religious background, so he had a feel for what the values toward wrong and the values toward right. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is above that. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would not even change the word. You know, there's a ayat that talks about that. It talks about that when he was a baby, that the angels went into his chest, opened his chest up, and washed his heart, the blemish of his heart, that he would be pure. Now we understand that to be symbolic, and we should understand the symbolisms involved in that. But more important than that, we should understand the importance of that concept. The importance of that concept is that he was an honest man. The importance of that concept is he would not mix up the words, his words even, with the words of Allah. He would not do that. He was a man who was sincere to the truth. There's an ayat in the Quran that talks about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when a theft occurred. A theft occurred and all the believers wanted to blame it on a Jew. Wanted to blame it on a Jew and say he took it. And the prophet was leaning because it was his brothers. You had to believe one or the other. But Allah saved him from even having to make a decision. Allah revealed the ayat to him. Revealed the ayat to him and said he's the guilty one. He's the one that has to be talking about the Muslim, The Muslim was the guilty one. And he accused the Jew without any evidence. So the ayat was revealed. Allah made sure that your prophet came to you, meaning humanity, came to you with the clear sign, unblemished, untampered with by his hands. So let us look at that for a moment this afternoon. Let us look at what he came with. Allah says in the Quran, he says that, and relevant to especially what we're talking about now, he says that as he was revealing the Quran in terms of many, the jinns and men, they're going to make up hell. He revealed ayat after ayat. And one of the ayats was that Allah has the most beautiful names. You can call him by any of the names. But don't side with those who use his names in vain. Now that's very important for us to understand when a person is using Allah. Because if a Arabic speaking person says God, he gonna say Allah. He's not gonna say God, that's an English word. He gonna say Allah, meaning God. Now if he uses that in vain, you can't side with that. Just because he uses Allah's name. Or any other name that by which Allah is called. But in here, he's explaining to us how important this is. And then he says that those who reject our signs, ayatum, we will gradually visit with punishment in ways they perceive not. And then what's really important and why we want to talk today about this subject, the next ayat says about respite. Respite. And it says, respite will we grant unto them, for my schemes is strong. Now the terms in the Quran really highlights that really important so we can get a feel for what Allah is saying. He says that the word kedib, or matin, those two words are sort of used together in this ayah. And one is like scheme. Some English interpretations interpret it as scheme. Some interpret it as plans. Some, the word even means strategy. And strategy is probably a much better term for that, because strategy implies some other kind of mechanism working together, all of them working in succinct to one another, that they all come out to a particular plan, a particular conclusion. A particular conclusion is drawn. If you use this particular strategy, it's going to come to this. No matter what it looks like on its way of being developed or evolving or coming into one, no matter what it looks like, it's going to come out this way. Strategy. And the word matin is strong. Probably a more suitable word for that is a strategy that is absolute. Allah's strategy is absolute. It's strong, strong incurs that it's being tested. Strong says, well, I'm being tested, but this is stronger, which is still a good word for that. This is stronger than that. This is more inevitable than that. But absolute means that the other has no chance at all. Absolute means the other is not even in question. And the reason that it's not in question because Allah's strategy is already in play. In fact, the strategy and absolute are not even really defining what this is. What it's really saying is that this is Allah's creation. That's what it's saying. It's saying this is Allah's creation and there's no partnership in it. This is Allah's creation and there's nobody who will make any kind of decision dealing with it. This is Allah's creation. That's what it's saying. Absolutely is Allah's creation. Not almost, not half, not 1/10, not 99%, 100% Allah's creation. That's what it's saying. So no matter who plans or who schemes, no matter what they say or how they say it, it's going to come out as Allah has created this thing to come out to me. That's the reality of this. And that's the reality that we should take into consideration. Allah also mentions in the Quran that He is the wise, the best of the judges, Al-Hakim. Al-Hakim. Even the Quran is called Hakim, wisdom. It's used in relationship to the Quran. Wisdom. Al-Kitab, the book of wisdom. Hakim. The most important thing when we're looking at Quran, we're looking at guidance. When Allah says, "Dali kitabu la rayb fi huda," huda, guidance, huda la mustaqim, and this guidance is for us to develop conduct. The conduct is necessary for us to be able to move into the next phase. We was in a discussion the other evening at the Quranic study class, and we were discussing the hereafter as Allah indicates it in Quran. And we were discussing how that was relevant to today. And the conclusion that we came to in terms of words, but it's the same conclusion that Allah has given us in Quran, that each knowledge, knowledge has levels. The word to know, meaning to be aware. And at the end of it is the word ledge, meaning level. So the level of understanding. So each change in the human being is another level, a level of understanding. It's a state of awareness. Each state is a state of awareness. When you were sperm, you had a level of awareness, the awareness of a sperm. Somehow, you knew that when you entered your mother's womb, you had to hurry up. Somehow you got into the flow with all of the other sperms. You knew, you pushed. Now that's sperm's understanding. That he has to get where? How does he know there's an egg there? How would the sperm know there's just a wall out there, a lake, or what? Where would the sperm know all this stuff from? The sperm has a knowledge that once it enters the womb, it has an objective, it has a course. And it takes off to that course. And doesn't stop at anything. Don't let anything deter it from that course. And because the womb is so toxic, many of those sperms don't last, but you was tough. You was tough. Not only you was tough, you was strong. And you made it, male and female, made it to that egg that was in your mother. And bored your way in and look at the science of this. The egg, your mother's egg, she would not let the other sperms in. They hit the wall too. They hit the egg also when you did. Some maybe even before. But that egg did not open for none but you. How beautiful is Allah's creation? How wonderful is this? When you're here, looking at yourself, and you see yourself in the mirror, you should say, Alhamdulillah. When you feel your hands, you should say, Alhamdulillah. When you're walking down the street, you say, Alhamdulillah. You should be saying, Alhamdulillah was every move you make, because you know the process it takes to get you here. And you had nothing to do with it, except for what you was clocked in your nature. Clocked in there by Allah. Allah clocked it in your nature to be able to make it to that sperm. You didn't create your nature. You didn't create your level of understanding. It was Allah. Do you know Allah created the brain? And in the brain, most say that's where the mind is housed. You know the mind has one major purpose? The mind is not like the hand. The hand has you can move things with the hand. The hand has a different kind of motion. Feet have another kind of motion. The mind has one major purpose: to gather knowledge. The mind has one major purpose: to gather knowledge from all of the senses around it. It gathers knowledge from the smell. It gathers knowledge from taste. It gathers knowledge from hearing. It gathers knowledge from hearing, seeing. It gathers knowledge from touching. The mind is gathering knowledge from everything. And when you was in your mother's womb, it was gathering knowledge. Your mind was gathering knowledge then. So that when it came into the world, it would come into the world with some kind of preparation. It would come into the world with some kind of understanding of existence. Some level of understanding. Some level of existence. And from that point, you begin to gather knowledge and information rapidly. Because knowledge enters into the mind and forms concepts. That's what information means. That word means. Information is forming ideas and concepts that seem to be concrete to the mind, that seem to work properly to the mind, that seem that when the mind runs through a deductive reason, it makes sense. It comes to a logical understanding. The mind says, okay, that's okay. That comes to a logical conclusion. This is the way we came into existence. This is why we have so much to be thankful for. This is why we praise Allah. He doesn't need our praise. He doesn't need our prayers. He doesn't need our sadaqah. He doesn't need any of that. That's all for us. The sadaqah, Allah tells us, is for the poor. The sadaqah is to keep up your masala. You have a responsibility of keeping up your masala. Then he also says you have the responsibility of taking care of yourself. And the more you make salat, the stronger you're going to be spiritually. If you're sincere when you're making salat. If you're just going through the motions, it's not going to help you. It's just not going to help you. But if you're sincere, what it does is fortifies your spirit. And your spirit is the only thing you have to ward off all of the wrongs and all of the people who are trying to harm you, who are coming at you subjectively. Your only defense is your spirit. Only defense. Your physical muscles ain't gonna get it. It's your spirituality. And this is what the world tries to do, is to corrupt your spirituality, then they can sell you anything. If your spirituality is strong, it's hard for them to get over. As you see the world today, we have a world where they have destroyed human values. Destroyed human values. Why? Because now they can sell a human being anything. And they can rule a human being. And these are some of those who control the world. What is most important in understanding how we came into existence? I remember in the early teachings that I received when I came into the Nation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and later his son then took it over and brought us into a real Muslim community, not a organization, not a group, but a community. And one of the things that stood out most is that know yourself. You have to know yourself in order to make progress. Know yourself. Now, when we ask that question to the general population, do you know yourself? Oh yeah, my name is Hakeem. My name is Rahman. Is that really who you are? As we said a moment ago, everyone should know that's how we come into existence. I mean, you should know it not like, oh, I understand that, not that casually. We should know it so much that when we think about it, we almost are ready to make sujjah. When we think about it, we're in the form of making sujjah. In our heart, we're making sujjah. When we think about how Allah brought us into existence, we're making sujjah. Because we understand. We understand that it's His mercy that's doing this. It's His mercy that brought us into existence. You know, I was blessed to be informed about something, well, at the time it happened, and also just recently, that I thought was a real blessing because it pointed out some very important things. And if we could just remember that those things that it pointed out were good for our development, we would be more of a servant to Allah. So with that, we want to do a short pause. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين. We seek refuge in Allah from the rejected enemy Shaitan, with Allah's name, the most merciful benefactor, the most merciful redeemer. All praise is due to Allah. What was pointed out to me, and I want you to just stay with me on this for a moment. It was pointed out to me by one of our brothers here during the month of Ramadan. And he came in the masala. We was getting ready to break fast. And on Tarawih, no, before Tarawih. And so he came and he said, I just saw a wonderful, wonderful sight. I said, well, what was it? He said, I saw what looked like two rainbows together. I'd never seen that before. There was right over, I was out in the street there and I looked over the building and there was two rainbows together. Now most of you know what rainbows are. And he said, come, let me show you. So I went upstairs and looked out the window and there were two rainbows in the sky, side by side. And now, I didn't think any more of it then. I said, alhamdulillah, that's a beautiful thing. I've never seen that before in my lifetime. And so, the other day, this morning, and other day, I was looking at the some emails and Facebook pages, and I came across one by Mustafa Alamin, a brother imam out in he's in Newark over at Masjid Ibrahim. He was making a point about those rainbows. He's described it as if as a rainbow with 7 colors. And he talked about the 7 colors in terms of their importance. And he said that the 7 colors represented 2 main factors in Islam, as far as he would see it, the way he discerned it. One, Fatiha, the opening to the Quran. Now, I know most of you know the Fatiha in and out, up and down, and all kinds of ways. It's the most said surah we have. And he pointed out that 7 colors, he called all the colors, gave all names. He said each of them were representative of an ayah in the Fatiha. This was a sign, he was saying. And I'm one who believes in signs also, and I'm sure you do, most likely. Then he went to the next step. He says, not only are we looking at 7 ayahs, 7 representative of the Fatiha, we're looking at there were 7 levels of Prophet Muhammad's ascension, the heaven ascension. There were 7 levels to that. From the beginning all the way up to Ibrahim was the 7th level. And he drew the significance from that as a sign. But additionally, I thought there was more than just that, because there were some other things occurring at that time. This happened on June 19th. Monday, June 19th. Now, perhaps that might not be significant to nobody in the world, hardly. But it is very significant. It's very significant in the development of Islam. It is very significant in the development of the world. Why? It was on June 19th that a general, June 19th, 1865, a general by the name of Gordon Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, and read a proclamation. He read a proclamation that to the slaves. And the proclamation was basically saying the people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with the proclamation from the executive of the United States, didn't say president, executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between the former slave master and the slave. And he went on for a couple of paragraphs. But to listen to the importance now, here's something we must see and understand. How these things have something to do with the whole spectrum of the reality of the world. These seemingly insignificant things. Now, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1865, 1863, pardon me, some 2 years before then. But it took it that long before they got it over to Texas. Now, this June 19th, and we're talking about these rainbows in June 19th. And it's in the month of Ramadan. And the month of Ramadan is what month? The 9th month. So there's a lot of things that are happening here in America right now. There are a lot of things that are happening in America, and once we see how important it is, then we begin to understand the reality of it all. Now, the rainbow is not a new symbol, nor is the rainbow a symbol by which it's not without a whole lot of myths that go along with that idea. It goes far back. And one of the oldest concepts and myths is that it represents a way into heaven. It represents a way into heaven by those who can do good deeds. by people of good virtue, good virtuous people. If they live a good virtuous life, this is a sign that they can go into heaven. It's symbolic. It also was taken as a sign for the rulers and warriors of the time. The day of the great warriors, they can go to heaven and see this sign. This is what that meant. But let's look a little closer. Let's look at what this could be in the terms of reality, our reality. I say that June 19th and the rainbows and all of those things are a sign of Allah raising Islam in America. And I'll tell you why I say that. I say because it's all connected. It's all connected to the reality that Allah gives us in this Quran. He is a slave, and one of the hadiths talks about a slave girl who would teach her mistress. This is a sign that exemplifies the development of Islam in America. And the reason that's so important is because Islam in America is going to affect the world. It's not what's in the East right now. What's happening in America is that the virtues and the morality that Islam supports is coming up and growing in America. And Allah has used the slave as the instrument by which to bring Islam into the West. Nobody can claim it. No Mahdi, no school of thought, nobody can claim the rise of Islam in America except Allah. Because this goes back to the strategy we talked about earlier. This is all part of Allah's strategy, all part of Allah's plan. And his strategy is absolute. And as the African American affect other people, wise Muslims see that the rise of the African Americans coming into Islam this way, you know what they say? They say, Alhamdulillah. Because they have an understanding of the religion. The same as you see a baby walking his first steps. You don't condemn the baby for walking. You don't look at the baby and say, you shouldn't walk until I tell you to walk. No, you jump with joy. You jump with joy because you know that baby is on his way to maturity. You see the baby in that one step down the line of 23 years. You see that one step. So you enjoy it. This is what the world should be seeing in the African American community right now. We have taken a step in Allah's truth the way Allah wanted this to be in the world. And this is going to affect America. It's going to affect America, and they're going to see it. You look at what Islam did to Saudi Arabia. Look at when Prophet Muhammad was given the Quran. And look what happened with the Arab. They came out and changed the whole world. And look what happened to Europe. When Islam came into Europe, reconstructed their thinking. A whole new European came to life. It didn't make all the European Muslims. It didn't make the Jew Muslim. It didn't make the Christian Muslim. Some of them did accept Islam. But what it did, it changed their way of thinking. And their way of thinking became more productive. They came out of the dark ages into the light. That's the power of Islam. And don't you know for sure, and you should know this for sure, they know that with Islam rising in the West, and if it takes on the nature of the Islam that Prophet Muhammad brought 1,400 years ago, that's going to change the world. Every American, black, white, Jew, Christian, should want Islam in America. Why? Because they saw what it did in Arabia. They saw what it did in Europe. It comes as testimony. It don't come just suddenly Islam pops up. Islam is in America with testimony, showing that Islam had affected people in the past to become better. We're not asking every American to become Muslim. We're not asking every Jew to become Muslim. We're not asking none of them to change. Only thing we are asking them, lean to the virtues in your book. Lean to the values that's in your book. And let us work in that freedom space, that space where it's all good for us and the world. Let us do something about curing the society of its illnesses. Let us do something about bringing this concept of peace to a reality. This is what's going to change the world. And when our brothers in the East see the son of Islam, this light of Islam, coming out of the West, that's a miracle. They're going to know it's a miracle. For America to concede to the concepts and ideas that are in this Quran and begin to live the life of peace, that's an example. They see it in Mecca. They see it in Arabia. They see it in Morocco. They see it all over the East. When they see it, all they're going to say is, Alhamdulillah. Because that's what this is about. This is about Islam raising in the West. And you're part of that reason. So we thank Almighty Allah for blessing us to be here in this day and time. رَبِّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Our Lord, give us the best of this world and of the hereafter, and protect us from the fire. He cometh to us.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.